We all know that Gumball is packed with jokes of every kind, but did you catch all the double entendres and the moments that feel totally illegal in this new season of the show? And you don't even need to go far to find these moments. Right in the very first episode, when the boys head to the checkout to pay for their totally normal groceries, they get a huge shock when they hear Larry announce the price they need to cough up just to eat healthy. Right after that, they grab an avocado. And when they realize the little money they had was only enough to pay for that single fruit, they literally slap their foreheads and blush bright pink, which is a classic reaction of someone who just saw something, let's say, indecent. And honestly, paying $3,000 for some fruits and veggies is beyond indecent. The scene is so heavy that even the price tag is blurred, giving the impression it's really something no kid should be looking at. But hang on, there's more. If we go back just a little bit in that same episode, right at the very beginning, we get to the hilarious scene where Elmore's teachers are trying to show how harmful fast food can be for your body. Seriously, they even drew a gravestone on the chalkboard to show that kids would die if they kept eating burgers. Then Miss Simeon beats up Mr. Small so badly that he falls to the floor, and something almost nobody noticed happens. The floor where he lands gets completely covered in a rainbow-colored liquid. And guess what that was? Yup, it was Mr. Small's vomit after taking all those punches straight to the gut from Miss Simeon. Come on, did you ever notice this completely illegal moment in this part of the show? Stick with us as we dive into every single one of these grown-up moments you probably didn't even realize were hidden in this season of Gumball. Get ready, because we're about to blow your mind. Another totally illegal but intentional moment in Season 7 happens in the episode The Distance, where Gumball and Darwin have to separate and sleep in different rooms, even though the episode is full of gross-out moments, like the breakfast scene. That's not what we're focusing on here. Later on, when Gumball logs into an old game trying to reach Darwin, he discovers that the only other player still active is a guy named Leonard Daniels. Now tell me, what do you call a guy over 40 years old who hangs out in a kids-only gaming community trying to make friends? Yeah, we can't say the word here, but you've definitely figured out what's going on. And if you have kids or younger siblings who play on communities like Roblox, warn them. Those places are full of adults pretending to be innocent children. Never, and I mean never, agree to meet up alone with someone you only know from online games, because that person could be another Leonard Daniels hunting down little kids. Man, that joke in Season 7 was really dark, because on top of all that, when Darwin, Tobias, and Banana Joe walk into the room and see Leonard on the computer screen, he instantly shuts off his webcam. That was creepy. Now, my friends, let's talk about the most awkward scenes of this entire 7th season, and they all happen in the same episode. The Gourmet, episode 16 of Season 7. When Gumball goes over to the Yoshida household, which is Masami's family, begging to try their family mac and cheese, Yuki, the mother of the little flying cloud who's friends with the blue cat, takes him into the closet so he can pick out an outfit that, remember this word, radiates confidence. The problem is that Gumball goes into the closet and comes out completely naked, wearing nothing but a hat. And of course, his private parts are all blurred out, because after all, this is still a kid's cartoon. But the weird part is, if you look closely when he shows up, Yuki actually looks down. And what's right below Gumball? Exactly, what's hidden by that blur, and what we definitely can't say here. On top of that, she says that he's radiating something. Remember, we asked you to save that word, but it sure wasn't confidence. In other words, Gumball's private parts were stinking. Now tell me, did you notice this bizarrely adult detail in a kid's cartoon? If you did, then you're definitely not that innocent. Before that, when Gumball first gets to Masami's house, he sees her and bolts. He literally runs right through the butler, who is also a cloud, and that's when the adult joke hits. If you pay attention after Gumball runs through him and part of the butler's body, his name is Bennett, spreads apart. Bennett quickly puts both hands right below his waist, as if trying to cover something up. That's exactly what people do when, for example, they're caught off guard while naked. So technically, was Bennett naked at that moment and trying to shield his private parts? The answer? Probably yes. Man, I don't know about you, but that's easily one of the most adult jokes I've ever seen in Gumball. Before we move on, if you also love cartoons, animations, and TV shows, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now, deal? If there's one thing Season 7 of Gumball has, it's insane double-meaning moments. Back in Episode 1, The Burger, when Richard gets home and Darwin gives that incredible kick to the bag of burgers, sending it flying out of the house. Of course, Richard was never going to let food go to waste, so he runs outside trying to save the remains of the burger so he can devour it, triggering a chain of awful accidents that ends with apparently a plane crashing right on top of Gumball's dad just as he was about to take a bite, almost like the universe itself was saying he shouldn't eat it. And right after that, the boys get sprayed with a blast of some red liquid. Now think about it. What could that flood of red all over the kids' faces and the house wall really be? That's the joke, to make it look like it could be Richard's guts and blood after the plane crashed into him. What saves us from that interpretation is Gumball's dad saying, "There was a lot of sauce in the burger." But without a doubt, the dark joke from the creators was leaving it up in the air, whether that was really just ketchup, if you know what I mean. Heading over to the episode The Butt. we get one of the most awkward things I've ever seen in a cartoon. To be honest, this is the episode I liked the least in the entire 7th season. On top of that, when Gumball takes Principal Brown to Larry's salon, yep, always him, we see he's in a completely different position than someone who just came in to get a shave. Larry is standing there, clippers in hand. Do you know what he was about to do? That's right. If you guessed waxing the backside of Elmore's school principal, you nailed it. Some people don't know this, but there really are professionals who do that kind of thing. And one thing's for sure, it's definitely not done in a barbershop, that I can guarantee you. The folks who actually specialize in this area even have a title: Intimate Waxers. Now, Larry may work all sorts of jobs around Elmore, but judging by the look on his face, he definitely didn't take this very specialized course. Things get even crazier when Gumball pulls out a style book showing Principal Brown different trim options he could get for his butt. And maybe you don't know this, but yeah, this kind of thing does exist in real life. The only thing is, it's not usually for the butt, and not for the head either, if you know what I mean. And that's exactly the double entendre the creators wanted to sneak into this scene, no doubt about it. In that very same episode, we get another pretty dark joke. It starts when Gumball and Principal Brown land in jail, and goes all the way until the very end of the episode. Inside the cell, they're joined by a really shady inmate, who says that people in his village complained so much about their looks that they eventually lost the body parts they didn't like. Right after that, he steps out of the shadows, and we see he's basically a twisted version of Mr. Potato Head from Toy Story, only leveled up like some creepy Pokemon evolution. This guy's covered in eyes, mouths, and even arms. It's heavily implied that he's a serial killer who collected pieces from all of his victims and stitched them onto himself. That hint becomes crystal clear when Officer Donut comes by to let Gumball and Principal Brown out, and then casually releases the serial killer too, saying, "No body, no crime." Well, of course, he used all the victims' body parts and fused them into his own. Looks like Elmore's police force could really use a crash course in proper investigations. Still in the same episode, and still talking about that creepy serial killer character, we see at the very end that Principal Brown's old colleague, the same guy who once shamed him for having a hairy butt and who's now his superior, hops into a cab saying Brown's days as principal were numbered. In other words, the plan was to fire Gumball's buddy Brown. But to our surprise, and the superintendent's too, the taxi driver turns out to be none other than that same potato mutant serial killer. The superintendent asks to get to the airport fast, and the monster-looking cabbie says he'll take a shortcut. After that, well, let's just say Principal Brown never lost his job, and the superintendent was never seen again, which pretty much means, yeah, the guy probably met a very tragic end. All of this is very reminiscent of one of cinema's greatest villains ever, Hannibal Lecter. Just like in his movies, the theme here revolves around horrifying fates for victims, exactly what happens in The Silence of the Lambs. But seriously, if you don't have a strong stomach, don't even Google that movie. Jumping now to episode 2 of this new season, called The Assistant, you probably didn't notice it, but there's a very adult joke hidden right at the start of the story. When Nicole sits down at her computer and realizes she now has a built-in virtual assistant, the system asks her to customize the voice. The very first option is an assistant named Chaz, who speaks in a super masculine, almost seductive tone. He even brags that he's an alpha. Nicole skips him and moves on to the next voice, which is an elderly woman. She's not into that either, but once again, the Chaz voice pops up, trying to tempt her into picking him. Of course, kids didn't catch this, but it's clearly a reference to an online scam that's been targeting women more and more these days. Scammers, usually young men with good looks and smooth, deep voices like Chaz's, try to seduce married women with kids into cheating, just so they can later blackmail them for money, threatening to leak private chats and pictures to everyone they know. But since Nicole is 100% loyal to Richard, she didn't even consider the option. Way to go, Nicole. Chaz never stood a chance with you. And hey, if you know anyone who's actually fallen for a scam like that, please do not post it in the comments, okay? And that wraps up the illegal moments from Gumball's 7th season. If you want a part 2, drop the word illegal down below. We're leaving 2 more videos here so you can pick one and enjoy something really fun.